Hi folks, this is Ryan from ORS Cross Country Skis Direct here in Vermont, and I have in my hand the very last pair of Karhu guides that we have in stock. This is a 195, and the reason why we didn't sell this ski is because it requires a really big dude to power it. But I'm showing you this because this was a very, very popular ski by a great brand. People are still going to look for the guide, and you can't get it anymore unless you might have one pair left. K2 Corporation owned Karhu. They also own Madshus and a bunch of other ski companies, and in sort of consolidating, they decided to kind of get rid of the Karhu brand. That's unfortunate. Fortunately, however, Madshus bought the rights to build 3 of Karhu's most popular skis, including the guide, the 10th Mountain Tour, and the XCD GT. Those 3 models were super popular for Karhu, and now they are under the Madshus name, known instead as the Annum, which is the guide, the Epoch or Epoch, we'll say Epoch, E-P-O-C-H, which used to be the 10th Mountain Tour, and the Eon, which used to be the Karhu XCD GT. And they are absolutely identical in every way except for the name and the graphic. In fact, here we go side by side. You know, the color is different, but the dimensions are identical. It is the same exact flex, same construction. The base color is different, but it's the same Omni grip pattern that made Karhu so popular. Excellent, excellent grip. So it is the same exact ski, just isn't called the Karhu anymore. All right, so if you need a pair of 195 guides, we may still have these kicking around, but otherwise, we will sell you the Madshus Annum. Now, let's start from the bottom with the Eon. Again, this used to be the XCD GT. This is, and if you put them all together, that's the best way to really get a glimpse. You've got your sort of narrow, your super fat, and your medium, okay? So they're geared for different types of backcountry skiing. The Eon is really your backcountry touring ski. So this is going to give you the best glide when you're cruising from, say, hut to hut or on rolling terrain. You're going to glide much, much better on this ski than you will the wider skis, but you're still going to have a full metal edge for downhill control and that Omni waxless pattern. So a really, really great backcountry touring ski for packed in breaking trail. Now, obviously, the wider you go, the better suited for deeper snow. But this really is more for getting from point A to point B as quickly as possible with throwing a few turns in the middle. As far as the next ski, the Epoch, kind of splits the difference between the two. You got the Annum, which is your widest ski. Your Eon is the narrowest. So the Epoch kind of fits in the middle. So it's wider for better flotation in deep snow. A little more versatile in that regard. Still has a full metal edge. Same grip pattern. Gonna glide pretty well, but not as well as the Eon. Certainly better than the Annum. So you see what I mean? You kind of have to decide what is your priority. What kind of skiing are you looking to do? You can't have a ski change instantly when you're out on the trail. So you have to pick one that kind of does everything pretty well. This very well could be the one for you. And if downhill is your #1 priority, then you go with the Annum. It's fat, it's going to float really well, it's going to turn, it's got a nice round camber, so it's going to feel like you're skiing on a tele ski going downhill, but yet it still has that grip pattern for kicking and gliding around. And as far as flex, it's the softest of them. It feels the most like a tele ski. And as you move toward the narrower, they kind of get a little stiffer, a little more like a Nordic camber. Again, more focused on glide. Now, that's the story with the skis. When you choose the ski for you, then you got to think about the boot. So, really quickly, we've got a bunch of options here. And let's start off with the Garmin Excursion and the Fisher BCX 675. These are 2 beefy, heavy-duty 3-pin backcountry boots. The Excursion is super happy on the Annum, and it can certainly work on the Epoch. Might be a little overkill if more touring is your thing, but having more power downhill is never a negative. It is certainly a heavier boot. If you want a little bit lighter duty, then that's what we have the 675 for. It's great. It's very, very stiff. It's got a cuff. It'll power the Epoch perfectly well. It's a little light duty for the Annum, but if you want a wide ski for flotation and for bushwhacking around and you want a lighter boot, it's a great option. As far as the 1575 by Alpena, this is our 3rd 3-pin. This really is a pretty light duty boot. I wouldn't put it on the Annum, but I'd certainly put it on the Epoch and definitely on the Eon. This would be a great pair right there. And we do have this in a package. Nice light, but yet still has a lot of power. The other way to go is a system. So instead of the 3-pin, you're doing the NNN BC system type setup. And this is the Alpena 1550. It's got a cuff, so it does have a lot of ankle support and lateral stiffness. But again, being a BC system type deal, definitely wouldn't put it on the Annum. Not a bad choice on the Epoch, but a really good choice on the Eon. And this is a really light feeling boot for kicking and gliding around. So again, if backcountry touring is your thing and you're thinking the Eon, you know, these two boots are really good options. More for power, more for light, and more comfort for touring. The 1550 is also available in a women's model. It's a little bit narrower in the heel. It's got a women's last. Otherwise, it's the same boot. And then you could also consider the Rosenal BCX2, which is sort of our lightest duty BC boot. And I really would only pair this up on the Eon. It's a nice light backcountry touring boot and really not powerful enough to turn the wider skis. As far as bindings go, I would really, for the system binding, this on the Rosenal here is called the NNN BC Magnum. And it's a manual binding. It's got a pretty wide plate, so it gives a little more power to the edge. So this is really the ideal choice versus the BC Auto to put on either of these two if you're thinking you're going to go the system style. And again, it's manual. You pop it open, you step down, click down, and off you go. 3-pin always gives you more power. On the Eon, we have the Volley HD, just a straight-up heavy-duty 3-pin backcountry binding, and it works perfectly well on the Eon. It wouldn't be a bad choice on either of these skis, but if you're thinking you want optimum downhill control, then you want to look at a cable binding. And we've got 3 options, and there's more information on the sort of breakdown of the Volley bindings, but quickly, the 3-pin cable has a detachable cable, so you can put the cable on, gives you more downhill control when you need it, but if you're stuck on a flat touring around, you take the cable off, stick it in your pack, and you've got a much easier sort of kick and glide. The 3-pin HD has a hard wire, so for even more downhill control, the wires can unlatch as well. And then the switchback binding is really a tele binding. You can't take the cables off because there aren't any pins to hold your boot in place. Kicks and glides really nice, but it also unlatches for uphill touring, meaning you're going straight up a mountain. You don't want any resistance on your boot. You want to be able to float up that with skins on the bottom of your skis. And as far as skins go, those are those carpety-like things that you stick on the bottom of your ski for uphill grip. Now, as I explained, all of these skis have a waxless pattern. That's going to allow you to kick and glide, allow you to get up. But nothing beats a skin for optimum uphill efficiency. The other thing to consider, obviously, is a nice pair of straps. These are great, the Volley customized Onion River strap. And you always want to consider wax. They are waxless, but a liquid paste wax like Swix Easy Glide, you wipe it on like shoe polish, tip to tail over the scales. It'll keep snow from sticking. It'll give you better glide. So think about where you want to go, what you want to ski, and then that'll help steer you toward one of these 3 skis. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Ryan, and have a great ski.